come a little closer and lend me your ears. Don't worry, you keep yours while I keep mine.
In each episode, we'll dig into the major stories, uncover the truth, and retrieve gems from Yada's blog.
We'll discuss what's right, bark about what's wrong, wag our tails at the thrill of discovery, and take you on adventures through the exciting world we live in today.
So, fasten your curiosity leash and get ready.
Right then, coming to you with another episode of the Yada's Vlog on a Blog. Tomorrow's news, disseminated today. Let's dive in.
Well, that was the first time, my friend, that the audio has been out of sync with the Wookiees delivery. I'm noticing even that my video here is freezing, so we may have issues in delivering today's program, but we'll do the best we can. Yeah, that was awkward. It's actually a very well-produced video by John on the Wookiees introduction with the lip movement syncing with the words, but that did not happen in that particular portrayal of it. Oh, boy, last 24 hours, my friend.
Lots to bark about, right?
You know, we're the only people that on the planet that recognize that Israel has entered the time of trouble and even know what the time of trouble is. And we know that it began on the 22nd of May of this year, which is Shavuot, and predicted everything that we have witnessed thus far, and even down to some of the smallest details. So this is exactly as we had anticipated, and it's going to get progressively worse. And as you look at a picture here of Iran trolls U.S. and Israel, and this is the IRGC spokesperson having a cool drink while missiles fire off to kill Israelis. It's my contention that the nation comprised of the people whose average IQ is the highest on earth, on average 115, recognizing that Muslims, particularly Arab Muslims, have an average IQ of about 70, although the Persians are much brighter, that Muslims are playing the Israelis as if the Israelis were the incompetent, irrational, uninformed, incompetent ones. And they are. Israel still does not know that it was taunted into its response in Gaza on 10/7, that the entire intent of that raid was singular. The Al-Aqsa flood had a singular intent, and Israel does not understand who perpetrated it or why it was done that way, even to this day. And that intent, again, I'm positive we're the only people on the planet who understand it and have articulated it, and we have done so hundreds of times, but to no avail in Israel, is they were being so ruthless, so savage in Israel, that they knew that they could cause Israel to enter Gaza and destroy it. That's what they wanted. Now, for those of you who are really shallow and you don't understand why that would be so, then it's because you don't understand Islam. In Islam, the highest calling is to be killed by, particularly by a Jew, in the promotion of Islam. That is the highest calling. They want that. That is what they live to die. And if you don't understand Islam, then I want you to take some time out of your schedule and read Goddamn Religion. There's 5 volumes of it, 4,200 pages that prove overwhelmingly, convincingly, undeniably that Allah was not a god, Muhammad was not a prophet, and that the text of the Quran demands that all Muslims die killing for Allah and fighting to the last person on earth. That is what the religion is comprised of. That's who perpetrated 10/7. Al-Aqsa flood is a line from the Quran. It was a replication of what occurred when Muhammad attacked Khabar, a farming community, early in the morning. And he attacked Khabar because Muhammad lied. He formed a treaty with his own kin not to terrorize them, kidnap them, torture them, murder them, ransom them, or enslave them anymore for 10 years, because he had been nothing but a warlord doing those very things. And he came to the Kaaba with insufficient troops to assure his success. And he knew the last time he was around the Kaaba, his own family laughed him out of existence. And he didn't have the courage to go back in. And so he signed the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, which the Quran specifically says, thank you, was designed so that any agreement between Muslims and non-Muslims is not binding on the Muslim. Now, that's essential for people to know, and yet there's not one person,
Straight out of the Quran,
a million non-Muslims that know that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is no purpose of doing a deal. None. What does the Quran say in the 9th surah? It begins the 9th surah, says if you're a non-Muslim, doing a deal with a Muslim is counterproductive for you. Don't do it. That's what it says. Deal with it. Mm-hmm. So it changes your entire mentality as to what Israel is trying to do, trying to accomplish. But this raid on 10/7 was a replication of Khabar, and Israel doesn't know it. Exactly. Same farming community, same inhabitants, same tactics, same screaming of Allahu Akbar, same lopsided deaths, same torture, same rape, same enslavement and plunder. It's exactly Khabar, which was under Muhammad's guidance with the first Muslims. They don't know that. They want to blame Hamas, which is nothing but an Islamic club and a symptom of the problem, as opposed to the core problem. It is Islam. And if you don't recognize it's Islam, then you're stupid. Then you're ignorant. Then you're irrational. There's a solution for that. Read goddamn religion. It takes the Quran for the first time, reorders it chronologically, and sets it into the context of Muhammad's life using the oldest hadith sources that are in many cases are older than the Quran itself, better attributed to the time and the place than the Quran itself, and uses them to set the Quran into the context of Muhammad's life so it can be understood. And the only sources among those 4,200 pages of 5 volumes of goddamn religion are the oldest, most credible Islamic sources. It presents the religion exactly as it is, not as people want it to be portrayed, not as people lie about it, as it actually is. It's Muhammad's words and deeds, full stop. And it is because of that that we were in a position to understand exactly what 10/7 was all about. Sinwar actually wrote it in one of the notes Israel has confiscated since that time, proving that I was right. He's that your intent here is to be vicious. Your intent is to be savage. We want the Israelis enraged because they had already set up all of the Western media and universities with young people, particularly young Marxists, such they already had their marching orders, their money, their signs, their clubs already ready to go to condemn Israel of genocide, even before Israel retaliated after Israel had been the victim of Islamic genocide for 14 centuries. And always ignorant, always irrational, the Marxists condemned Israel. And even today, almost every liberal talk show pundit in the world is condemning Israel of genocide in Gaza. And of course, that's what meets the eye test. I begged Israel not to go into Gaza, that it would be counterproductive. They would have a 0% chance of eliminating Hamas, that Hamas would grow in stature, not shrink, and that they would turn the whole world against them. They could not achieve their objective, and they did not. And that by destroying Gaza, they would turn the entire world against them, and they did. And now they're being played by Iran, and they're being played by Hezbollah. Hezbollah wants them to invade Lebanon because now the world can scream at Israel and say, "You're idiots. Look at, you're trying to perpetrate genocide now in Lebanon like you did in Gaza." Now, the population in Gaza actually grew, but by the destruction of Gaza, utter destruction of Gaza, it looks just the opposite. And you can't get over the images of Gaza being destroyed and bombed and as an absolute crater worse than any city at the end of World War II.
Yeah.
And because of that, Israel has condemned itself. And then to go into Lebanon again, for what purpose? Every time you go into Lebanon, you claim victory, you lose a bunch of lives, you conquer land, and it's just like Hamburger Hill in Vietnam. You take the hill and you retreat and they return. What did you accomplish? Nothing.
Yeah. You're just teaching them how to use their drones better. I mean, you're just giving them opportunity to...
And this time, you know what? Israel's like, 400 tanks? It's a huge percentage of their arsenal. They've lost far more men than they're announcing.
Yeah.
Israel is no longer able to tell the truth. You cannot believe Israel. In the attack that took place yesterday and today, Israel claimed that it shot down every missile. And there wasn't a single fatality and not a single impact. And yet, you and I both looked at the video. Absolutely, missiles struck. Absolutely, there were destruction. And in the south, there's one town where it hit an apartment complex where it's at least 24 people who are dead. Yeah. You can't believe Israel anymore. They won't tell the truth. Hard to support a country that acts so foolishly. And then for Israel to decide, well, the intelligent thing here again is we'll go bomb more in Lebanon after Trump says, don't you do that. And you say, well, they don't have to listen to Trump. No, they don't, except for the fact that America is the only ally Israel has now. And it's the ally that's going to betray them, with Trump being Rahab, Satan incarnate. But they've linked their wagon to America. It's where they get their bombs.
Oh, it wasn't just bombing in Lebanon, and they went into Iran as well. I mean, they did strikes.
But they didn't go into Iran until Iran sent the missiles over them. They went in and bombed the suburbs of Beirut again, and Iran said, "We told you if you did that, we were going to strike you." And the Iranians did what they said they were going to do. And Israel, rather than standing down and saying, if we now strike Iran, we're done. I mean, this is it. You have no allies left. It's over for you. You are completely isolated and alone. You're surrounded by 2 billion Muslims that want to wipe you off the face of the earth. And you have no ally anywhere in the world. You're done if you go do that. So what did Netanyahu do? He did that. And this was exactly what the Iranians wanted. That's why they're taunting him. That's why they're trolling them. So Israel put itself in this position, and it didn't have to be in this position. There were so many other better ways to deal with Islam than bullets and bombs.
Yeah.
And to attack Iran in the first place, and then to go back into Iran, to a country that is 20 times your size and 93 million people versus 7 or 8 million Jews in Israel. Israel, between Judea, Samaria, and Gaza, and Israel itself, a country where I think there's more now Muslims than there are Jews, if you count all those areas. And you can't win under these circumstances. Israel had a 0% chance of prevailing over Iran, and all they did was is tick off an enemy that the prophet said is going to be the one that ultimately brings them to their knees. Because it's Iran, who announced yesterday exactly what I said that it was going to happen. In reading Yoel and Yashaya, the two prophets side by side, the conclusion is undeniable that the last battle against Israel is millions of militants from Iran, and that they're unstoppable. They're like a flood, and that the IDF has no capacity to stop a flood of militants. They couldn't stop 4,000 on 10/7. They were completely stymied. And it's for damn sure they will not be able to stop millions. I think it's going to be at least 2 million from Iran, and they'll be joined by others. Could be in the range of 4 million. They have no capacity whatsoever to stop them. They have no drones. They have no significant artillery. Their tanks are being wiped out, and they can't be deployed anyway. They're going to be too spread out for A-10s to function. There'll be no function whatsoever for their F-15s and F-35s. No function for their submarines. Israel has created a defensive force in the IDF that has no ability to stop what the prophets say is coming. And that's why they're just gloating. They're looking at Israel and said, "You're ours. You fell right into our hands. We played you."
Yeah. It's coming. I mean, the prophets say more invaders than Israel has bullets, you know?
Yeah.
So it's
what they actually say is that it's such a flood, and that flood is described in such a way that they're unstoppable, and they act just like 10/7. They run into homes through windows. They're torturous. They're rapey. They're savages. But Israel is getting what they taunted. God's not sponsoring this. He's warned Israel about it and said, because you've abandoned me, I can't help you in this situation. And depending on your IDF is going to completely fail you.
Yeah.
And depending on Donald Trump and America is going to completely fail you. He is Rahab. He will do nothing when the time comes to honor his promises of defense and support.
Where did the Palestine come from?
Yeah,
huh?
we're going to come back and forth to the Iranian thing because it is the issue of the essence. But this is this particular video. This person goes into the story of the fact that the Egyptians have chronicled that there were 8 peoples that is now called the Sea Peoples that came in and tried to invade and conquer Egypt back in the about the 12th century BCE, and that they defeated them, but they also relocated them. And it appears that they relocated them into places like Sicily and Cyprus, but also in southern Israel. And the Pelest would be those people. And the most interesting part of this is the description of the Egyptians saying that they went to war against these people and then relocated them into a place where they could control them, which would have been in southern Israel. And the Pharaoh, who was the general while he was a co-regent with his mother, is Thutmose the Great. And Thutmose is the one who claims to have bludgeoned the Philistines badly, put them in his place, controlling them before the Exodus took place, right before the Exodus took place. What this fellow is saying, of the peoples, those 8 groups, the only name that is common that we know are the Philistines, common name there, same root. And that, he says that, they would have been kicked out of Mycenaean culture of some sort. They would have been in the Mediterranean or the Aegean Sea. The Torah and prophets say that they were Cretans, and their DNA goes to Crete. But what I was able to deduce is that they're the degenerates of Mycenaean culture.
Yeah.
And their pottery and their language skills and their building skills and everything else indicates they were the degenerates. They didn't take written language with them. They didn't take any skills with them. They left nothing. They were just invaders and terrorists, and they lived as a criminal enterprise, robbing other people. And so they are criminal invaders. So if you want to name yourself after them, as the quote unquote Palestinians do, you need to know that these were genuine reprobates, scumbag. They were tossed out of. It's like Australia was founded by the British as a penal colony. That's kind of what the Philistines are. They were the rejects out of Mycenaean culture that were the those that just couldn't fit in. They couldn't keep up, and they were just saying, you just guys go away. It's like a reservation, if you will, for degenerates.
Yeah.
That's who you're named after.
You're not good for anything here, so you go somewhere else. Go
somewhere else.
Go on somebody else's lawn. Yeah. Proud of that, aren't they?
Now, you can play just a little bit of this just so that people can see what I'm railing against.
Okay.
The sound didn't pick up, so.
Let me get on mute
And the
again.
mistranslation, the word Jesus used when he said, "I will build my church," has never meant what most Christians think it means. And the mistranslation has shaped Western Christianity for centuries. Matthew 16:18. The Greek word for church is Ecclesia. But Ecclesia was not a religious word. It existed centuries before Jesus was born. In the ancient Greek and Roman world, Ecclesia described a called-out assembly of citizens, summoned to conduct the governing business of the city.
You can cut it. All right. Wrong, right, and wrong, and two wrongs don't make a right, even when they sandwich the right in between the two wrongs. There was no Jesus. The line was written and added to the book of Matthew, which was written around 95 CE by an imposter, plagiarizing three texts. There's nothing in Matthew that isn't plagiarized from either Mark, Luke, or the Ebonites. So it's 100% plagiarized text written by an imposter right around 100 CE, way after the facts. That line does not appear in any document that can be found until you get to Eusebius and his creation of the Codex Sinaiticus and Vaticanus, where it appears. The line also appears in Mark, but there is not a single, and Mark was written about 75 CE on behalf of Peter, not Peter, but Paul. That line does not appear in any early codex of Mark, does not appear until, again, Codex Sinaiticus and Vaticanus, which were both orchestrated by Eusebius. The whole conversation is about the dumbest attempt at justifying a religion one could possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
It is a week prior to fulfilling Pesach Matzah and Bikurim. And they are passing by the gates of hell, where the little satyr, the devilish guy of Greek mythology was hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pan. So they're in front of the gates of hell. To read the Christian narrative, these guys had been together for 3 full years at that point.
Who are you?
3 years. They'd gone from fishermen to hanging with this guy for 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, just weeks before the fulfillment of Passover, they asked him in front of the gates of hell, or he asked them, who does the world say I am, and who do you say I am? And the answers are first ludicrous. Like, one of the answers is Elijah, and Elia is the most anti-religious of all of the prophets. If you were religious in his day, you were dead.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be Elijah. He was hugely anti-religious, and he reported to Yahweh. Then they go and say, well, John the Baptist. You know how many Baptists there were in that day?
No Baptists.
No, zero. And by the way, John the Baptist had his head handed to him on a plate, according to Christian mythology. Of course, there was no John the Baptist. That the whole story is made up. And there were no Baptists. But the only origin of baptism happens to be in the sibling oracles, which was the religion of the Roman Senate. So a whole host of problems with that one. And so after all this guessing, they said, well, who do you say I am? And he says, well, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God, whose name, by the way, he does not know. And at this point, you'd have to say, wait a minute. You've been together for 3 years, living the life of nomads, paying attention to every word that drips off this man's tongue. You're sleeping out there in the wilds with him. You're sitting around campfires with him, and never once did any of you ask, oh, by the way, who are you?
What's your
Never
name?
Once did it dawn on them, maybe I should ask who this guy is. Why am I following him if I don't even know who he is? Why did he not tell you who he is if that's who he is?
Generally, that's how things happen, right? Hi, I'm Jewish.
Yes.
My name's Leah. It's nice to meet you. That's normally how those things
nice
happen,
to meet
right?
you. Yes. So, I mean, it's unbelievably ludicrous to pretend that conversation would have taken place at that time. Now, the other problem is, so where would you get this idea that you are a Christ? Where does it say anywhere in the Torah, prophets, or Psalms that a Christ is going to come?
It doesn't? Yeah.
It doesn't.
Nowhere.
It just doesn't. It doesn't. And the only time that the Son of God is associated with a Messiah, it's talking about Dowd. Not somebody else, not a Jesus, but Dowd.
No.
So if you were aware of a prophecy of a returning Messiah and you just didn't know the term and you wanted to have it a Greek name that actually means drugged, then you're not very smart. Then your answer is wrong, not right. And plus the fact there is not a single material prophecy of a returning Messiah in the Torah, prophets, and Psalms. This is a myth that got made up in Judaism, but it does not exist from God. When Dowd returns, he's returning as king, as Elion, as the very presence of God. Not returning as the Messiah. And he is the Messiah. And so the whole line is completely ludicrous. And then he says, upon this rock, he's already in the dialogue called him Peter, and he hadn't even come up with a nickname at that point. So how could he have called him Peter before he came up with a nickname for Peter, which is Petra, rock in Greek, Kephas in Hebrew. So even the name that is described belies the entire conversation and the justification for renaming the man. Who was named Shimon, actually. So it's every place you turn, you've got utter stupidity. And then he says that you could not have learned this from a man. It had to be my Father in heaven who told you that. Well, if he didn't learn it from a man, then what in the hell was he doing following this man? And if this man was supposed to be a man god, don't you think that he would have told him? I mean, it's just ludicrous. And then the next thing out of his mouth is, don't you dare tell anyone this. Not under no circumstances do you tell anyone that I am the Christ. And yet you've got people who call themselves Christians and a religion called Christianity and a person whose last name now is assumed to be Mr. Christ. So if he told you don't do that, how could you have a religion based upon doing that? So it just goes worse and worse and worse. And then They don't walk 10 steps. And the gospel Jesus character turns to the very man that he just praised for saying, yep, you had to learn that I was the Christ from the Father. And he says, get behind me, Satan. Looking right at the same fellow and refers to him as Satan.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make your video over the word he used was in church. And you don't want to bring up any of that.
Right.
Okay. Now, beyond that, he is right. That's the one thing that he's right on. There is no word church found anywhere in the New Testament. Of course, there's no word church found in the Torah, prophets, and Psalms either. God's vehemently opposed to such a thing. It's a religious institution. But there's no word church. You know, if you believe that you have a church and that your Jesus spoke of a church, you've just been played for a fool. Bottom line. The word does not exist. It's not a transliteration of an existing word that was spoken in Greek. And by the way, they didn't even speak Greek. It's not a translation. Not a translation, not a transliteration. Does not exist. The word is ecclesia. Ecclesia as a verb means to call. And ek means out. Ek, out called. You know, it's like an out-call service, I suppose. Now, was the term used in Greek society? Sure. I mean, the whole Greek language is based upon compound words. Most of the words in Greek are compound words, and ecclesia is a compound word, out-called. Now, you cannot get as a transliteration, which is to replicate the sound, in any language from ecclesia to church.
No.
There's nothing in common between those two words. And you can't get from out-called to the concept of church. It's not a translation of it either. Now, he claims that it's based on a word that means building of the Lord, from kurios, Lord in Greek, and that it was from a derivation of building of the Lord. But I've got a problem with that. It isn't. There's no commonality in that word, and the word that he claims is the basis of the transliteration. Doesn't exist. They're different. They're entirely different sounds and different words, and they have an entirely different meaning. Now, the only word that is close to church and would have been pronounced almost identically in the dialect of the time was the daughter of Helios, the sun god of the Germanic religions of the day, was church. And from church, we get church and circle and circuit and the halos they wear above their heads and all of those kinds of things. And so if you're a Christian, you have been played absolutely, totally up one side and down the other as an ignorant fool. Your religion has no basis, in fact, and it was all perpetrated on you. And in this case, this lie was written by Eusebius in the 4th century.
Yeah.
And I prove it,
all
religions, all of it.
Yeah. All religions love their buildings, right? Yah didn't even want the home for his name necessarily, right? I mean, he has said several times, I'm good in a tent. You know, I'm good in a tent. And anywhere that you go, I mean, it's pretty much 12 stones and a campfire for you to be able to celebrate Pesach, Matzah, B'Kodim, the Moed Mikre, right?
Yeah. There's 5 volumes of Twistianity. Every claim that I just made, every detail, every document to prove that what I've just analyzed here is available in this book. You can also listen to the Twistianity series on the vlog, and you will have all of it. Yahweh actually did want a house. He just didn't want Dode to build it, and he didn't want to make it sound like that it was something that he was requesting at the time. He was very comfortable living in the, well, he lives in Shamayim, but he wasn't, he was very comfortable having his Aaron of the Bereth in the tent of the restoring witness. It's going to be there again very shortly. So he is very comfortable with that because it represents Sukkah, which is where he camps out with humankind. Now, there will be a spectacular home for Yahweh's name. I think it's going to be built out of light. It'll be constructed by Dode upon his return. But the fact of the matter is that God does not have a church. He's got nothing to do with Christianity. He had nothing to do with the Christian New Testament. And it is not just false, it's laughably degenerate. And this is one of the many examples of that being the case. And it's important for you to know that. I'm hoping you can actually play this. It might take you to another link. You don't even have to have the sound on this because I know what it says. I'll deal with the sound, but the visuals of it would have some value. Just posted in a lot of different places. That's fine. We can just play it like that while I'm talking about it, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. So what happened yesterday is that the spokesperson for Iran's Islamic Guard Corps, Revolutionary Guard Corps, produced this video that you're looking at here. They produced this video showing Israel bombing and destroying Gaza, showing the rockets being released from Iran, showing the defiance of Iran against Israel and the United States. And they have a narrative that talks about Allah's this and Allah that, and by Allah's will. No, Allah doesn't exist. He is a figment of Muhammad's imagination, a very, very demonic and twisted human conceived God. He spends all of his time in hell. So he's really a fearsome wannabe God. And so this is pretending that, and what they're doing here is they're trying to link their cause to these mythical people called Palestinians. Now, we've already talked about the Philistines. The Philistines were degenerate terrorist invaders. In fact, that's what the word Philistine means in Hebrew. They were degenerate Philistine invaders. They came from Crete. The DNA proves it. They were not only bludgeoned by the Egyptians, they were bludgeoned by Dode, who defended Israel against them because they were so savage against Israel. And then they were decimated by the Assyrians and the Babylonians. The last remnant of them, just scatters of them, were killed by Alexander the Great, who typically accepted slaves. But he didn't in this case because they were too savage to enslave. There has not been a Philistine on this planet for 2,300 years. So to call people Philistines is to be ignorant and irrational and wrong. And if you are promoting your cause based upon the cause of a people that don't exist, then you have no cause. If you have to lie to promote your agenda, you have no valid agenda. The purpose of the lie was initially perpetrated by a ruthless Roman general turned emperor called Hadrian. It was while he was torturing hundreds of thousands of Yehudim to death and imposing Rome's absolute control over people who did not like to be controlled and subjugated by Rome. Can't blame the Yehud for wanting to throw the yoke of Rome off. Rome was savage. They were degenerate. They were God refers to them as a beast, vicious beast. Long before Rome even existed, he presented them as the most vicious of beasts. And after the third invasion of Yehuda and the third Roman legion conquest of the area and bludgeoning of it, while he is burning literate Yahud alive, wrapped in Torahs, and tormenting them, pretending that he'll put off the blaze if they tell him who the loathed enemy of the Yahud were. And well, one of them fessed up and said it was the Philistines. Now, they didn't exist by that time. They had been gone for 400, 500 years by that time. Mm-hmm. And so he just said, well, I'll just rename the province of Yahud. I'll rename it as Syria Palestina. It was nothing but an ethnic story. It was the rantings of a madman. And the name would have been completely forgotten had it not been for the British, who were equally anti-Semitic.
They loved them some Rome.
They did, and they continued to use it. And so when the Muslim Brotherhood and the KGB met in Cairo in the 1960s and decided, we don't seem to be able to win an outright war against Israel. We have a new strategy, and the new strategy is we're going to call the Muslims from many different ethnicities that are in Israel or around Israel, we're going to call them Palestinians, something that they knew nothing about. We'll call them Palestinians, and we'll call Israel Palestine. And by doing that and claiming that they were the indigenous people of Palestine as Palestinians, then the Israelis will be looked at as occupiers and colonialists, and we will generate with the people who are ignorant of history, will generate their sympathy. And so now you have Marxists running around Free Palestine, and you have this video taunting Israel on behalf of the Palestinians, but they don't exist. So it's all a lie. So we're fighting lies with lies. And that's how big a quagmire this has become. And the Iranians are trying to pretend that their cause is greater than themselves, that they're fighting on behalf of the rights of these oppressed people who don't actually even exist. And in fact, people that have accepted the false ethnic slur, Palestinians, are so parasitic and so caustic. There is no Muslim country in the world that will take them.
Seems like a simple solution, doesn't it? Iran, you love these people. We will airlift them right to any airport you want, right? Just let us know.
You can have them. Or Saudi Arabia, where 90% of the territory is just open. Or the Sinai.
Egypt right around the corner, right?
Right, or more into Jordan. Now, the problem is that they are so insidious and so vile that you lift them out of where they can be contained in a place where they are not watched. They're just going to grow in weaponry and vitriol to the point that they attack Israel in greater numbers with greater weaponry. So moving them is not an answer, and they will destroy whatever country they're in. But this is part of this problem. So with this video, and that's the reason I just wanted to show it, is that it again is designed to blame Israel for everything that is falling apart in that part of the world, to say that Israel is the cause of all of the horror, when in fact, that whole region was devastated because of a fellow named Muhammad. When he turned Arabs into bloodthirsty killers and slave traders and mass murdering terrorists. And, the first 100 years after Muhammad, Muslims wiped out 1/3 of the earth's population. That's how savage this religion is. And it's left the scars because those places that they conquered and enslaved are still Islamic. It's a horrible religion, the worst religion probably ever conceived, although it's a contest with Christianity. And now these Muslims who have been genocidal, who have been the ones who imposed apartheid, who have been colonialistic, and who have conquered the land of Israel multiple times and subjugated it. They want to blame Israel. And they're doing a really fine job, and it's being picked up by most people around the world. And in this particular video, guess how they ended it?
No. The
They
destruction of
claim
Israel.
that the only answer is the destruction of Israel. You want peace in the world? Destroy Israel. That's how it ends, with the promise to destroy Israel, which is exactly what the prophet said they would try to do. And they're going to do it in the way that the prophet said. They'll continue to rain missiles down on Israel, and Israel will be unable to defend itself. And Israel will go bankrupt, and Israel will lose its governments, its trust in its governments, it will lose trust in its religious institutions, which is good. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, millions of Muslims will run into Israel, and there'll be no defense until Yahweh tells us that we can apply the solution. But we're not going to apply that solution until we're well into 2033, 7 years from now.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but we have to let, just like with all addicts, any addict that is addicted to religion and politics is the same thing. They have to hit rock bottom before they can get any help, and then they will shoo to Yahweh. I mean, the ones that are left, the ones that survive it, that.
Yeah, it is. They're an addict. They're an addict on their own belief systems. They believe that they are Hashems when there is no Hashem. Mm-hmm. They believe that they are chosen when they chose not to be associated with the Yahweh. They believe that they're invincible when they're in the cusp of being destroyed. They believe that the world should like them and admire them when the world hates them. Mm-hmm. Listen, I despise Donald Trump, and he is a really a crude a-hole. But when Trump told Benjamin Netanyahu, "Are you crazy? You know, the whole world hates you." Mm-hmm. That part was true.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, the advantage of this particular bit is that he has done a translation of that speech. Mm-hmm. And the speech ends with Allah promising to destroy Israel. So, if those, it'll be posted on the IRGC.com website. If you want to play it, you'll be able to see this as a translation of it as the IRGC spokesperson specifically says that Israel must be destroyed.
Yeah. I think the only disagreement in the Muslim world about this is who gets to destroy them. Because at the end of the day, it becomes whoever does this essentially takes control of the third holiest site in Islam, and that's what it's about. It would.
Yeah, they want control of it. Yeah, they want control of Jerusalem, of course, that is another. We talked about this giant scar of credibility that's on Christianity. The ultimate scar of shame for Islam is Al-Aqsa Mosque. There is nothing more embarrassing to Islam because after the satanic verses, where Muhammad in the Quran says that all of Allah's witnesses speak on behalf of Satan, that's about as low as you can get. He followed, and that was following his statement that there are other goddesses in association with Satan, or association with Allah, eliminating this monotheistic theme, because the fact is that Allah was one of many rock gods, 360 of them, in the Khabar. And so he promotes Allat, Al-Uzza, and Manat to co-god status. And he gets mocked for that. Then he gets mocked for saying, "Oh, I misspoke." But all of Allah's messengers speak for Satan, and so that was the satanic verses that got him in more hot water. He was so embarrassed that he was in bed with his 9-year-old wife that he had been with her for 3 years. Now she started having sex with her when she was 6. He was 66 at the time. And now 3 years later, he's in bed being a pedophile. And he imagines that he has an escape from town, and that Gabriel, who happened to, if Gabriel, who was Dode, got anywhere near that piece of crap that is Muhammad, he would instantly end his life. But he has Gabriel bring him a flying donkey, a winged ass, and that he jumps on said winged ass. And last time I checked, donkeys don't fly. But that's not the biggest problem with the story. He jumped on this winged ass. He was in Kabaville, which is actually Petra. That's another part of the problem. Mecca didn't even exist at the time. And he flew due north from Petra into a city whose name he did not know. It's assumed to be Jerusalem, but he didn't know the name. And he claimed that while he was there, he met in the temple, not knowing that the temple had been destroyed 600 years earlier. And he claims to have met in the temple with all of the Jewish bigwigs that the rabbis had told him about. From Noach and Adam and Abraham and going Moshe, all of them. Of course, they were all long gone, but he wasn't very smart. So once he gets there and he's had all the meetings, he gets back on the winged ass because he wants to meet Allah. And evidently you can't get to Allah from the Kaaba. So he had to go to Jerusalem to get to Allah, which is pretty telling right there. And he leaps up to Allah on the flying ass. And the first stop along the way to Allah is hell. Most people don't know that hell is up and that hell is the foundation of Allah's house. It's the basement of Allah's house. So, and there he claims that all of the inhabitants were women. And that they were there when he asked because they had not been appreciative of their husbands. So they were being
of course not
hung by meat hooks through their breasts. And while he's there, he admires this particular woman saying, "Oh, she's a hottie." Yeah, it happened to be his adopted son's wife, which would be incest because he claimed her. And he finally gets up to the big guy, to Allahu Akbar. And he has a conversation with Allahu Akbar. And it's not about how the world was created, what you're supposed to do, what my revelation is. Nothing except I want people to moon me 50 times a day. And after the big guy says, I want you to moon me 50 times a day. Yeah, he passes Moshe on the way down. He said, yeah, that's what I was asked that same thing too. And I negotiated with him. It's just too much. You need to go back up and negotiate. You can negotiate him down to 5 times a day. I was able to do it. You should be able to do it. It's just so ludicrous. So I would tell you that Al-Aqsa Mosque is the greatest embarrassment to Islam. If people just knew the damn story and told the story and then scraped the Temple Mount of those 2 hideous scars.
Yeah,
next slide,
that was the point of negotiation for that you had when instead of going into Gaza. Yeah, we'll trade our hostages for your Temple Mount, or not trade it, but if we don't get our hostages back, I'm gonna level the place. Yeah.
This fellow has become the lead spokesperson for Iran. He is on, he does the talk show circuit, he's in, it's Mohammed Marandi, and he does it, it is them all. And he actually is very articulate. He's quite restrained. This is the funniest that I have seen him. If you can play it, you'll hear him say, what in the world is it that has control over Trump? Because literally he is a madman, Who is the world? Who is controlling him? Is it, the fear of revelation of little girls? Is his daughter's conversion to Judaism? Is it Netanyahu? Who in the world is yanking this man's chain? Because everything he is doing is the kind of stuff you would expect of an absolute madman. And so it is actually...
Now it's finished. Then they no longer need this trade of hormones. And the U.S. economy will collapse, and the U.S. armed forces will collapse. But Trump, in his, whether I don't know what they have on him, what he did to what he's done to little girls, or it's Miriam Adelson, or the money, or his son-in-law or his daughter, or they've convinced him that he is, I don't know, what role he is to play. I have no idea, or maybe it's a combination of all these things. I have no idea what goes on in this madman's mind, the deranged mind of this fool. But he is pushing the world towards disaster. And a lot of people, Danny, are saying, let him do it. Let him do it. The system is so corrupt that people across the world, you can see it in social media and their responses. Now it's finished. Then they no longer need this trade of.
Okay, there you go. Let him do it. He's a madman. Let him do it. Again, it's taunting the West. Come on. You think you're such big shots? You just come on. Why don't you try to invade Iran? Why don't you start another war with Iran and see how that leaves the U.S. military? As a matter of fact, since they, in all likelihood, do have their nuke, I think they would love for the U.S. to bomb them again so that they can detonate their test nuke over the U.S. fleet, as opposed to wasting it in the desert someplace. So it's now full on taunt by Iran, and this is not some nobody. This is a very well-educated professor in Tehran that has become the primary communicator of the Iranian position for the last 4 months. So they're just taunting the West. Come on. You're led by a madman. Have it. Have at it. See how he'll respond.
Yeah, and where it ends, though, is not good for anybody. This idea that it'll tear down the institutions, it tears down everything because it goes nuclear. I mean,
it tears down everything. You know, when I see or hear that Israel has been badly damaged by incoming missiles, my first instinct is the keyboard jihadists. No, it's just not true. And because Israel is not releasing any news. It's total quarantine on news, and they're promoting all manner of erroneous stories about what's happening and what they're doing. And so you can't trust anything that's being said by Israel all of a sudden. And that's really sad, because Israel used to be pretty darn reliable on their version of events, but not anymore. This particular spokesperson, I don't much like him because he's way too right-wing, but he lives in Israel, typically correct. First thing I did as he was talking about the mass casualty of an event in southern Israel is to find out whether or not, since Israel is saying they shot down all incoming missiles, none hit, is I checked other sources to find out if, in fact, that was true and what he was saying is true. What he's saying is true. There's one of the Iranian missiles that hit a oil depot, and the one that hit the oil depot was because Israel attacked an oil depot, tit for tat. And because Israel also bombed Tehran and set an apartment complex ablaze in Tehran. It's really a gruesome thing. They shot a missile right into an Israeli apartment complex, killed at least 24 people, maybe more.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching, we had mentioned earlier about shofar not working, and I wasn't sure if the Israeli government took it off, didn't allow people to hear it outside of Israel or something for so long, that was part of their no information about what happens in Israel outside. You can go to jail for sharing videos of damage and stuff like that. And I was really surprised yesterday when my shofar went off during the afternoon. I'm like, oh, wow. Let me click on and see and it was like, what, 10 missiles from Israel. Then the Yemenis got involved. It was like, come on.
Yeah, from Iran, 10 missiles from Iran. And then to call the Houthis Yemen is kind of a misnomer. It's it was one sect of the Yemenis. They overthrew the government. Was one of the government leaders that was the lead Houthi, and And so they control a fairly large swath of the country, but they control the capital and they control the coast near the entrance to the Red Sea. And they're Shiites, and so they get their weaponry from Iran and worked in coordination with Iran, and they've gone back ballistic, and they shot a number of Houthi missiles while doing the Houthi dance. I mean, you got the sword dance and the AK-47 dance. And, I always assumed that the Houthis were the clown face of Islam, and that if Gazans had an average IQ of 60, that the Houthis, if tested, could be in the 50s. But nonetheless, the Persians are smart. They made drones, they made missiles, and the Houthis are firing them, and they fired them back at Israel. Can you imagine, though, if the Houthis closed the strait of there, into the entrance into the Red Sea, which is easier for them to do than Iran with the Strait of Hormuz?
Mm-hmm.
This redhead presented 5 videos that I saw, and I listened to most of them because it's my Crusader Muslim clashes is a little rusty. I'll study it maybe once every 5 years or so, just to kind of keep fresh as to who said what to whom and when the timing was and all of this. And she is going through the first 4 crusades on these various propositions. And during the time of the crusades, you'd have to ask which was worse, Christianity or Islam? And it's really a good question. Which religion was the most destructive, most damning, the most deadly, the most deceitful? And it's really a contest as to which one was. And by the time you get to the 4th Crusade, and the Christians are slaughtering people, just slaughtering them, and slaughtering people outside of Constantinople, and burning their own capital, the capital of the Church of the East, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and they're burning their own capital and slaughtering their own allegedly people. And part of it was because there was never a comfort level between the heads of state of Europe. One of the Crusades was led by the King of France. You have Richard the Lionhearted. He was from England, I believe. But you have, then you have the Pope and head of the church in Constantinople, promising instant access to heaven for anyone who is killed, bypassing purgatory if you're killed fighting for the church in the Crusades. And their goal always was the same, which is to capture Jerusalem. But the problem is that Jerusalem didn't belong to the Christians or to the Muslims. So why did they make the capital of Yehuda their prize? And they were just 2 groups of utter savages. And for a period of time, I think the Christians were actually worse than the Muslims. Now today, that's not the case. The Muslims are worse than the Christians. And before the Crusades, of course, the Muslims were much worse than the Christians. But then there was a lot of years of just the Christians subjugating and torturing Jews long before even Islam existed. And so the treatment of Jews in Europe, going all the way through the Holocaust, I would say would cause one who is fully aware of the history of both religions to say that Christianity has been worse to Jews. So if you're God and you're saying who tormented my people the most, and for the longest, it's going to be Christianity. And so Christianity is going to be the most hated religion by God. But in terms of the world as a whole, Islam is the deadliest religion in human history, having killed 200 million people, a third of the Earth's population in the first 100 years.
Yeah. How do you gauge that competition? I mean, who wants to win that, right?
The world's worst religion. Which one is it?
Mm-hmm.
So this fellow wants to be really smart. And he is the socialist mindset, which is that man is basically good. Information can be good or bad. And man is either good or bad based upon the information that he is fed. So if he gets to choose which information is deemed good, and only his information is fed to man, then man will be, by his definition, good.
Absolutely, comrade.
That is his proposition. Now, the problem with that proposition is, first of all, we've tried that. It's called communism, and it makes people really, really bad. Second is that the man has stayed the same through 6,000 years. But in that 6,000 years, humankind has been influenced by millions of different information schemes. And it didn't make any difference which information scheme was influencing mankind. Mankind as a group was always bad. So it can't be the information scheme, because the common denominator is that man, when he is a social, political, and religious creature, is always bad. And there have been many societies, many political mantras, and many religions, and they've all generated the same results. So it's not the issue of the information.
Yeah.
The common denominator, if you're thinking this through, pal, is man. Man's basically evil, particularly when man is a social creature. It's why Yahweh is not trying to save everybody. In fact, he would like to get rid of most everybody. He does not want a big group of people part of the return to the garden on Sukkah. It will be in, I think, below 2,000 people, 14 to 1,600 based on the evidence. And in terms of covenant that he has trusted enough to empower so that their words can literally transform matter and that become immortal and able to enjoy his presence in the seventh dimension, I think that is going to be in the 200-300 range, maybe 400, but not going to be a lot. Could be, 800, 700, 800, not going to be a lot. And even then, with that group of people, and then there's going to be a remnant of Goyim to work. That remnant of Goyim has to be in the few 100,000. Otherwise, there's just no way to manage the planet. God's on record saying, I'm going to spread them out. I'm not going to concentrate them, because concentrated man is always bad. God's had every experience with a concentration of men, and they've always been bad right from the beginning, and he is not going there again. And it takes a lot of work to have a few people measure up. Listen to him. Think about what he has to say, respond intelligently to him, engage appropriately, and then stay the course.
So few, he's got to keep redeploying them.
Yeah, so few that when he finds one, he redeploys them. Boy, I want to tell you the things. I am so glad that I mostly nixed your request, which was to do the family hour on Noach.
Right.
Because, I spent now the weekend further fleshing out what we can learn about Noach's reappearance at both when the three individuals come up to Abraham and they have their, allegedly, they have their cheeseburgers. That actually didn't happen, but and they have the discussion about Sarah's going to have a son, and that Scott talks about the miracle of that. Those two individuals were Noach and Shem. And they are, prior to Noach, he was Chanuk. And after Noach, he was Midod. And after Midod, he was Boaz. And the other individual, Shem, the name, prior to that, he was Adam. And after that, he was Eldod. Was God's beloved. And then he became the Dod, the name of names. Thereafter, and lived 6 lives. And Noach has 8 all total that we know of. Leah's trying to pursue Deborah right now and find out who Deborah was and all of this. She would have preceded Ruth and Boaz. That there's just confusion over whether or not Deborah had a husband by a different name than Barak, who was the person that she worked through to create her agenda, because she had a conscience. She was very judgmental. She had a lip. She served as both a prophet and a judge, a shafat, a nabi and a shafat. But she couldn't swing a sword. So she had to go to Barak to marshal the troops to protect Israel. So the question is that most people think that it says that she was the wife of a firebrand. But I don't think that's what it says. I think it says that as a woman, she was a firebrand.
Oh, yeah.
Makes a lot more sense, because the man that is named is never named again. We never hear anything from him. And so as she is being introduced, I think what it says is that she is an Isha, which can be translated wife, but just means female, a woman. And there's nothing between that and this word for firebrand. I just think it means that she was flamethrower. She was firebrand.
Well, and that fits.
Yes. And then Barak, she says she summoned him, invited him, encouraged him to do this thing with troops. And she was in northern Israel and in the north, and he was there too. And so Barak could have been her husband, or at least they were a team. And so, but we'll see. But anyway, yes, it's true that there are so few people God trusts that he repeats those that he has found that he can rely upon, that'll get the job done. And that story of Noach, and he is not just there at the meeting between Abraham and Sarah, where they're told they're going to have a child, and that meeting is just filled with profound insights. The same two guys, they're the ones who go down and pass judgment on Sodom. And that's really interesting because of who those two guys are. And they return, by the way. They meet up with Abraham again. And they meet up with Abraham on the way to Moriah. Those are the two fellows that are with Abraham and Ishak as the witnesses. So they're witness to both the announcement of the first child of the covenant, and they're witnesses to the affirmation of the covenant, because they're the people that Yahweh said, through them, I created the covenant. So it's really an amazing story. So, fella, you're wrong. Now, I will tell you that really good information will make people really good. But that information does not come from you. It doesn't come from me. It comes from Yahweh.
Right?
Oh, my. This guy with the backward, first of all, I've always, person puts on a backward baseball hat, and I'm always worried about them. And I know that's the new thing. It's very Gen Z-ish, and I probably shouldn't say that because we have some really wonderful Gen Zers. But the backwards cap, I've always said, okay, there's something wrong with this picture here. And I've always worried about people, too, that are going to wear a cap and they can't figure out. You can actually get them in sizes, and you don't have to have the strap in the back. But nonetheless, the backwards cap is always a concern. Now, the backward cap and a Oxford cloth white shirt and tie. I mean, that's quite a look. Yeah, quite a look.
Yes.
So I'm already, and when you listen to this guy talk, he talks like he has a third grade education, and his eyes kind of cross and the like. It's an expose on Jared Kushner, and I actually listened to it, and I, it's on it'll be posted later today, certainly on the yadaya.com site on the blog page. I'd encourage you to listen to it. I'd encourage you to respond to it, because you can post a response. You can then interact on it, but it paints Jared Kushner as one very, very foul boy.
Mhm.
His big issue right now that he's running into is there's an island off the coast of Albania. Now, most people don't even know where Albania is. You know where
Right.
Albania is?
Oh yeah,
They just,
I know exactly where.
by the way,
I can point it out on a map.
by the way, just had an election in Albania.
Mhm.
Albania is a little over 55% Islamic, about 18, 19%, maybe a little less than that. A little less than that Christian. And the next belief system would be atheist agnostic. It's an interesting blend of people. Of course, it was carved out of what used to be Yugoslavia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's down there. It's one of the few countries, very, very poor, by the way, but it has a coastline both in the Adriatic and in the Ionian, the sea, so that it's actually a Mediterranean, part of the Mediterranean by the Aegean Sea. And there is a island that's quite large that was a military island, has all sorts of tunnels in it and missile silos in it and the like, that the government bequeathed to the Kushners to build this multi-billion-dollar resort. And the people of Albania are having a conniption fit over this and rioting over it. And, you know, when elitists say, I want to have a private island, and those elitists have, ties to, the likes of Epstein. It kind of rings some alarm bells here and there. And there's so much graft associated with this. The country of Albania has finally declared we're going to have an investigation. Maybe Jared's going to be in some serious trouble. I don't think his Albanian thing's going to go. And of course, the biggest problem with Jared is he's accepted $4 billion from the very people he is supposed to be neutral in negotiating from the Saudi Arabians, the Qataris, United Arab Emirates, and the like. He's one really bad boy with a really disastrous father. And, he is the only quasi-intelligent person. Now, you can be bad and intelligent. He is the only quasi-intelligent person associated with Donald Trump. And he's evil. But he's bright evil. Trump's stupid evil. Kushner is smart evil.
Yeah, the delivery of this guy was worth watching it, but the information is absolutely 100% correct. Falls in line with stuff that I've known about Kushner for a long time. The Albanian thing just blows my mind. Then you're mentioning it being a former military island, and things are starting to click now for me. I'm like,
there's silos for nuclear weapons and underground tunnels, and it sits off the capital. It's really a long, big island in a prominent position, and he's in a world of hurt over this, and to be doing all these kinds of things where you're acting as an emissary for the United States, as he is negotiating in the over the Ukraine with Russia, and then over Iran and Pakistan, then accompanying Trump on all of these trips. It stinks to high heaven, and he knows it, and he's presenting it as I'm not very smart, but maybe you want to consider some of this information. You really have a very good daddy, and he might be in some real stink here in Albania. The Albanians aren't really very happy with him at the moment, and and then he's got his fancy wife who's promoting private islands, and that's not going to go down with a lot of people real well these days. Just saying.
Right.
That's my expectation. Hey, did you hear that Joe did a fake Craig?
I don't know if I saw that. Well, I heard it on. Yeah,
it's actually pretty darn good. It's got good tone, good cadence, good pacing. I mean, it's. I thought it was pretty darn good start. He's using the Beast of Perry.
Right.
We have a beast in
Perry's
our basement.
Big AI machine.
Yeah, Perry has a very fancy, high-powered, exceedingly fast Blackwell chip AI machine in our basement, and he's given Joe the access to it, and Joe's just having so much fun playing. He's never played with a computer this fast, and so we're trying to create the voices for all the books, to make all the books audio, and then create an avatar that is speaking. So you have a head that's speaking to you. And they wanted the principal narrator to have the pattern of my voice, just because it's familiar. And I did write all these words. So that's what they're working on, and have made considerable progress. It's kind of humorous with their first start.
Oh, the content, the first line of what, let's, for lack of a better term, call it the Craig Wynn AI is going to say, right? And then the first line of what they say, it's just like, oh my goodness, here we go. We're
Joe came,
now,
Joe came out of that whole situation where he brought in the woman that we call the Wicked Witch. I won't even mention her name, but it starts there, and it's just him having fun. And with all he has gone through and all that the terror that she put him through, he's earned the right to take the pop. And he did. They're claiming that this is the Israeli hit in Tehran.
I'm going to play it, but mute it.
That's what they're claiming.
Yeah. I don't know if it's AI. In the building on the left with the fire up in the top left-hand corner looks familiar to my eye, like it was the one where the Iran attacked the Emirates, and it was where MI6 or somebody had a office or was working out of that building way back. That building just has the same feel to me.
I'm not vouching for it at all either. The two buildings have an odd parallax to me. The sound sounds strange to me. I don't know either, but I do know that Israel's on record saying that they bombed downtown Tehran in addition to an oil depot. Well, and that was and so that's how Iran retaliated. So I just thought I'd show you what is being promoted as what Israel did. Whether or not it's true, I don't know. Yeah, we don't need to do any more of that. But I put them all there just because on the Yada site, you can play them. This particular post, and I think I've put it in twice because there's two different angles of it, is truly amazing. This is one, again, I would go to yada.com and play it so you have a chance to see it and play it again and again. There are two aspects of this that are worth hearing. The first is that there is a reporter. This is not the reporter, it's a woman. And she is challenging Trump, who had multiple campaign promises that I will not involve America in any war. I will be the peace president. There will be no wars under Trump. And he said it over and over again as he was campaigning for president. And when she reminded him that he had said that, he said, I said no such thing. I absolutely said no such thing. And then he turns almost demonic. He glows red. And his face literally glows red. And he viciously attacks her, then takes the microphone and said, we're done here, after eviscerating this woman. It is, you want to see what Satan's like. I mean, this thing is worth watching, not only because Trump denies an absolute, easily provable point that he called himself the peace president, there'd be no wars under Trump, and now he's starting wars, and that she caught him in this lie and proved it. His response to that, I don't know if you saw it, but it literally, he glows red. It's amazing to watch.
I saw not the whole interview, but a lot of it, and the discussion of the January 6th stuff and everything. And he does. I mean, we're done. I mean, and talking about how, bad media is his normal trope, hey, you're the failing New York Times, media lies, they just lie, they lie about me, they lie about, and we're done here, and
yeah, you're right.
I was astonished by how red his face was. I really was. I thought that there was going to be like a cardiac event or something.
It was like he was glowing red. I mean, it was like Satan was right there in his face. You are correct that he talked about how much he loved the weaponization, and he actually used the term, the weaponization fund. For him to use that term is just astounding, because it says that what I wanted to do is provide weapons to the group that perpetrated the January 6th riots. So first he called it a weaponization fund. Then he said he loved the idea. Then he said that they were the victims, not the perpetrators. I mean, I've watched it. You've watched it. They were not victims. They were perpetrators. And he said they were victimized by dirty cops. There were a bunch of cops that were killed, and lots that were badly hurt trying to defend the Capitol. They weren't dirty cops. To claim that the cops were dirty and that the rioters were victimized by them, and therefore they need a $2 billion weapons fund to go after the dirty cops, I suppose. I mean, that's treasonous. And yet he went from there to the, I never said that I would not start any wars. It is freakishly demonic.
Yeah.
And we have correctly identified Trump as the corporeal manifestation of Satan of this time. He's the great betrayer. He is Rahab, to use Yahweh's term.
He is indeed.
Oh my God! Play this. You don't have to have the sound unless you want it, but
you got to hear though. You got to hear though. So
okay.
President of the White House Faith Office doing this. There's no way this is real, bro. There's no way this is real. What? There's no way this is real. You know what's crazy too? They're probably getting attacked by jinns. They're probably feeling something. It's probably not even just placebo. I genuinely don't think they're feeling anything. President of...
Okay. First of all, those guys are Muslims, because what they say is being attacked by jinn.
By Jews.
They're
Jinn.
Jinn.
Okay.
Jinn. For somebody who has translated the Quran multiple times and written 5 volumes about the Quran and actually done his own translation of the Quran, I can tell you who the jinn are. There are entire surahs that are devoted to the jinn. The jinn love the Quran. The jinn love Muhammad. And jinn are devils. So Muhammad's admitting, and in the Quran, Allah, it's attributed to Allah, that Allah is admitting that demons and devils love the Quran, and that demons and devils believe in Muhammad. So the very fact that they are acknowledging these are jinn, as in demons, is to say that if you're a Muslim, you've been played for a fool, because every time there's a conversation in the Quran with Satan, and there's many, you can't distinguish who's Satan and who's Allah. They have the exact same agenda. And Allah spends all of his time in hell torturing people, and he has entire surahs that are devoted to the demons who love the Quran. So that part is just weird by itself. This other thing is the first office of faith for the president was a gentleman that worked for me. He left my company to go into that role, and then wrote a book to demean me because he was part of an organization called the Fellowship, and the family was another term that they used. And their whole concept was, and there's a lot of Washingtonians that are part of this group, is they are like the mafia. They want to make you. So I was picked by them as somebody they could make, and it's usually the honey trap, and that's how they came at me. And she was indeed gorgeous, the one that they sent. Who knows why I didn't fall for it, but I didn't, and I'm grateful that I didn't. Otherwise, I'd be made and influenced by them. But I didn't play. They wanted me to study Hitler's Mein Kampf, Mao's Little Red Book, and the New Testament, because they said there's commonality there as to how you mold and control people's minds as a revolutionary. And that's what we're looking for. And they were promising that their group could enable a White House run that would be successful. That is the group, and this guy that became the first office to hold the office of Minister of Faith was a guy named David Quo. He has subsequently died of a brain hemorrhage. He wasn't all there even during the days that I knew him. But he was clandestine plant. And so he had that job. And so that's part of how I came to know, I knew George Bush much better than he did at the time, but we spent a lot of time in the White House. And really, really nasty connections, demonic connections, if you will. This woman is the worst of the worst. I mean, she is a complete fraud. She may be playing with demons for all I can tell, but there is absolutely no correlation between what she does and reality. Benny Hinn was somebody that I met early on, and Benny Hinn would admit that his dinner and a show was all fraud. He never healed anybody. She hasn't either. This is a scam to control wee little minds and fleece them of their money. And that's Trump's woman. She is the lead religious contact to Donald Trump. And she is demonic too.
In an organization that purports separation of church and state, why do we have a minister of faith at all? That was my question right off the bat. I was like, I didn't even know this post existed, you know?
Oh yeah, it does. So yeah. The office is actually in the White House.
I mean, I can understand, everybody having their guy, right? I mean, I grew up as an Episcopalian, so I'm going to have the best Episcopalian come to the White House and bless the dinners or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But having an office in the White House nonsense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Christianity is a huge part of the rise of Satan in positions of political power. And so Twistianity is the basis of MAGA, and MAGA has voted for and empowers Donald Trump, and he is the person that Christians would know as the Antichrist. All right, so this is it's an interesting presentation of China going full steam ahead and replacing drivers and cars, so that not cars and trucks, so that a huge percentage of China's transportation that is road-based transportation, which is really a small part of China's transportation. That's the place where China got it right and America got it wrong, is that China knows that the only efficient way to move goods from a significant distance apart from the ocean is by rail. So what you need is rail and ports, and then you need ships. So you need a really good locomotive and rail system, and you need good ports and good ships. And so China has taken the world by storm and manufacturing the best of all of these things. But still, to get them to the rail from a point of origin, you do have trucks, but they're always short haul trucks in China, where they're long haul trucks in America, which is wholly inefficient. But the point here is they're replacing the drivers with AI. And in China, you have this huge population that needs work, and you're taking a job that anybody can do, and you're depriving the people of an opening level job that is, reasonable job for them to do, and you're replacing them. What are they going to do? Nothing, and they become a parasite for the state. And the same thing is true in America. If you replace truck drivers, particularly in America, you're counterproductive. People need to work to have a sense of value, to stay out of trouble. And if you're going to take their job by AI, that is nothing but inviting trouble. It's a bad move.
Yeah. The two things I saw from this video is the first thing was, you already mentioned, was rail. I'm like, why are we ramping up this idea of AI trucks when there is already AI trucks that exist? They're called railroads, right? I mean, one guy in the train takes a lot of stuff to one place, right?
But you've got to get them from an individual factory, or in this case a mine, to the rail yard. So in China, it's always short haul. It's never long haul. In America, it's long haul because we don't have the railroad system to get it done. We don't have decent locomotives. We don't have decent rail. And so we are way, way behind the rest of the world in transport. It's one of the reasons why you can't make product effectively in the United States, is that there's just no way to distribute it.
The second thing I saw, and I'm a big fan of trains, but the second thing I saw on here was the absolute opposite of approaches between the American approach of testing in very controlled conditions and, just trying to make it work. And China does completely. They're like, let's throw 200 of these things on the road. Let's put them in snow, in quarries, in the worst possible, and let them make their own decisions. And,
Yeah.
it was like, wow.
China's about fast. We're going to do this fast. We're going to do this in scale.
Yeah.
And the purpose isn't to test it, it's to do it. A different mindset entirely in the two countries. Rail is one of my favorite things. I mean, I prefer airplanes, of course, and I prefer boats to rail because, I'm a pilot and have always owned airplanes and love the freedom of an airplane, love the scenery when you're in the front left seat of an airplane. It's just an extraordinary experience, and it's just the ultimate freedom. You can go to any place you want to go when you want to go, and I love the whole lifestyle associated with boats, and so both are my preference. But I have two really extraordinary experiences on rail. One is the Orient Express with a KGB agent when I was in my 20s. I went by rail from what was Stalingrad at the time, or now Leningrad, I'm sorry, at the time, and now is St. Petersburg, and all the way into Novosibirsk in Siberia. And that experience on the Orient Express was life-changing. That was really an amazing experience. And the other one, just for sheer beauty, was in northwestern Canada, as you go from Calgary all the way to Vancouver and through places like Jasper and Banff and the like. And that is an extraordinary rail experience. So I happen to think if you're just going to take some time and enjoy the world passing you by, rail's pretty neat. And of course, you'll never forget the ultimate rail scenes, I think, are in Dr. Zhivago. That just incredibly great movie. Oh yeah, what a heartbreak movie. That movie about the change in Russia to the communists and how disastrous that was for the people. Dr. Zhivago, pretty amazing movie.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan. I have trains that one of the busiest rail ways in this part of the country runs right down by my driveway. There goes from the Great Lakes in Chicago, and it runs all the way down to Texas. And so there's definitely fuel going through there. There's a lot of mining took place in this area. So I mean, this railroad is very active. And so I enjoy, hearing the trains, seeing the trains go by. So,
yeah, I like trains too.
Jesus slide.
Yeah. So this was we'll play a little bit of it just so we're up to speed with what he said. So I'm not just attacking a man that doesn't have a chance.
The Holy Spirit is a person. Jesus said, I will send you this person. And he gave him a name. He called him another helper. He wasn't sending an it.
All right. A helper, by the way, is not a name. Holy in Hebrew, and we're talking about Hebrew entities, is trole, and it means to be diseased. In the Christian New Testament, they would write about pneumoma, pneuma, P-N-U-M-A, and it's actually a masculine noun. And in Hebrew, it's ruach, and it's happened to be a feminine noun. The ruach is not a person. There is no Trinity. There is no Mother God. There is no second person or third person in a Trinity. The whole Trinity concept is Babylonian. God is one. We went over that passage in an earlier program when God said, listen, Yisrael, Yahweh, our God, Yahweh is one. So Yahweh is one, he's not three. And the spirit, the ruach of Yahweh, is an aspect of Yahweh that he can deploy as he chooses in our world. God himself can't enter our world, which makes the whole myth of Jesus being God absurd. A seven-dimensional being cannot enter a three-dimensional world. So Paul lied about that. But the Spirit does not come on everyone, and it never comes on a religious person. The Spirit is only able to come upon a person who has rejected religion and politics, whom Yahweh chooses. The greatest number of people ever to benefit from the Spirit was actually got a division of the Spirit, 1/70th of it, but 70 people shared one Spirit of Yahweh. And that was during the Exodus when Moshe was melting down. He needed support. Now, it's interesting that we don't hear a repeat from them. They contributed nothing. And there are maybe 10 to 15 other people all through the text that received the Spirit of Yahweh. The most famous, of course, would be Dod of them. The Spirit of Yahweh came upon Dod and never left him.
Never left him. Mm-hmm.
So it's a very rare occurrence that the Ruach of Yahweh comes upon a person. In today's world, there's only one prophecy about the Spirit of Yahweh, and it wasn't sent by Jesus, and he doesn't come upon any significant number of people, and he is not called a helper. That is not even one of the attributes that is ascribed to the Ruach. And the one person that the prophets were clear about would receive the seven spirits of Yahweh is the Choter. Mm-hmm. And yet they have no clue who the Choter is. And that is a name, Choter. And the spirits of Yahweh bequeathed to the Choter were the Spirit of Yahweh himself. There is no Yahweh in Christianity, so they can't have that one. The Spirit of Chokmah, they're dumb as stones. So no, they don't get the Spirit of Chokmah. The Spirit of Binah, understanding, which is the ability to make connections between things that can be known so that you comprehend them. They are incapable of doing that, or they would not be Christians. So they don't have the Spirit of Binah. The Spirit of Etza is so profoundly important because Etza is Etz tree with the comprehensive ending, and the tree that is ascribed, the spirit of the tree that is ascribed to the Choter is the tree of knowledge, stated as Diath because the Choter receives the spirit of Diath, of knowledge. Mm-hmm. So it's the Etza, which would mean the full knowledge of the tree of knowledge, and he possesses all of it. And then the spirit of Gabor, because God's not looking for a meek or passive.
It doesn't do humble.
It doesn't do humble. Gabor is bold, fierce, strong, combative, unrelenting, uncompromising. And so he has the spirit of Gabor, and then he has the spirit of Yare, which is to respect Yahweh. That doesn't exist in Christianity either. So you can write it all off. And by the way, if they want to pretend that this is something that has been foretold, then you are a absolute ignoramus, that while the Christian myth is a he, the spirit is feminine. A ruach is feminine. You got that wrong too. You got it all wrong because you can't read Hebrew and you got no idea what is being said. And yet you need that book because without the Hebrew, you got no Messiah. You got no Son of God. You got no God. You got nothing. You're just nothing but a pile of ridiculous lies without the Torah, prophets, and Psalms. And with it, you are nothing but a lie.
Yeah, a counterfeit. Mm-hmm.
Total counterfeit. It's not a he, it's a she. And the spirit is on very few people. And oh, by the way, I happen to be the choder. I know of what I speak.
And oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way.
Wrote a book about it, huh?
Yeah, I wrote a book
Maybe
about
one?
it. Yeshayah was the one that wrote the book about it.
Right.
And he's pretty clear as to who the choder is, and he says a lot about him in a lot of different places. And he is in today's world, he's it. He is the very voice of Yahweh.
Cool.
Black smoke engulfs the Haifa oil refinery. I guess they hit that too, huh? You know, and what did Israel claim they hit? They hit an oil refinery in Iran. And some apartments in Tehran. So what does get blown up by Iran? An apartment in southern Israel and a oil refinery in northern Israel in Haifa.
Yeah, that shows some pretty accurate targeting to me.
Yeah, it does. And responsiveness. Iran doesn't want to be the aggressor here. They're responsive. Israel does. They do. And, you know, it's Israel just... You're being played, Israel. You need to wake up. You need to recognize that the government you have now is enormously counterproductive and enormously destructive to your very existence. You're being taunted into all of the wrong responses. There is an intelligent reply. You'll find it. Go to yadayah.com. It's written all over. Every book you open will take you there. But if you want to know why the Muslims are playing you, read goddamn religion. Start with the first volume, go to the last. That's why I wrote it. If you want to understand the terrible subjugation and abuse that you have suffered under Christians, read Twistianity, all 5 volumes of it. If you want to know that Judaism is a pack of lies, read the 3 volumes of Babel. And it will take you there and it will explain those lies to you. And then if you want to know, and this is what I would highly recommend, and it comes highly recommended, you know, read the other 25 books that analyze the text of the Dead Sea Scrolls and tell you exactly who Yahweh is, what he's offering, what he expects in return, how his covenant is being offered to you, what you need to do to be part of it, how to capitalize on the 7 Moed Mikra, these 7 annual meetings of which you know nothing about. And to appreciate that the Son of God, Messiah, Savior, Chosen One, returning King, is Dode. And you better understand that because your soul rests on whether or not you can comprehend that and accept it. And there are a lot of books that I've written that prove that to be the case. And Dode was the former king of Yisrael, who returned as our Savior to fulfill Pesach, Matzah, and Bakodim, and who is returning as Elion, the very presence of God in our midst.
It should be easy. The most Yahud of Yahud, right? It should be easy. Let's not fight this, you know.
Let's not fight this, yes. Sorry. Should be easy. And by the way, you are not acknowledging him with your Star of David. That David is not his name, and that star has nothing to do with him and shows that you're still influenced by those who oppressed you. It says that you can be played because that was the star of the Holocaust. And for you to wear that as you were dragged through the Holocaust and you to assign that symbol to your nation is criminal. It's a sign that you're just not thinking.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up on we're over our hour and a half. I have a question for you. I was just wondering if you had a chance to see the third installment of Call the Next Witness yet. It just dropped on the website last night. So Probably
No,
you were probably
I have
asleep
not.
there.
I did
the
watch a
islands.
number of them, and I went off and told you that I was going to watch them sparingly. I watched one of Roger's because I have an affinity for Roger, and I enjoyed that. I watched the one which was the first of the Y2Z guys, just to see how they would react and do a show together. Enjoyed that, and I watched the one where you were interviewed. My Mark and the two of you played off each other exceedingly well. Listened to all of that and then enjoyed it. But for the most part, what I'm trying to do here is to remove myself from it, because I don't want to be the arbitrator of what's good and what's maybe not quite as good. I don't want to be the I don't want people to think that they're doing it to please me, because they're not. And I want autonomy and individuality, a real sense of we're all prepared to contribute as family, and that's what I wanted. And because what I was hoping is that other covenant members would come out of their shell, if you will, and have an opportunity to demonstrate to Yahweh that they not only know the material, but they can be trusted to deliver it, and that would give them tremendous confidence going forward, because we really need a team of grown-ups to make a contribution. There's not going to be a lot of us, and there's a lot to manage. So if this was a chance to grow up and people to hone their skills as we go forward. So that's why I'm trying to not be as involved in the chat or in viewing these things as as somebody thinks that maybe I should be, but that's the reason. So anyway, you brought this up, so there's a reason you brought it up. What was the reason?
You need to watch this so that there's a big reveal on there. We have a new couple that has come out of the covenant family. Okay, so Shannon,
come into it or come out of
Leroy.
it? Come into it or come out of it?
I don't know. I don't know. Because of the covenant relationship, we have a new couple okay.
That
Two people
covenant.
have come together. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so there's a new a hookup.
Oh, thank you, Rich. Okay.
There, a hookup. So there's two people who did not know each other very well, who are both covenant, and I'm assuming they're a boy and a girl. But it doesn't matter. They could be two guys, and it wouldn't bother me any. But I'm assuming they're a boy and a girl, and that they have come together and become a couple.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that big reveal is on Shannon and Matt's show. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to watch this to find out who the new couple is.
I gotta have the views, man. I can't just
gotta have the views. So it's on. Is it playing on Blue?
It is. It is playing. There's a link to it in Yada Yada chat. So it's episode 3 in Yada Yada chat. You can click on it there. It takes you right to Blue, and you can watch the tail wagging ensues.
So it's a celebration of relationship.
Absolutely, it is.
Okay,
yeah.
and that, by the way, is a very good use of that program. I am looking forward to also. I mean, the one guidance that I gave people is that the easiest thing for you to do, for the thing that probably is going to be the most appealing to most people, is Call Your Next Witness, where you're interviewing one person at a time that is covenant, and everybody gets to tell their story, because I think there's just great commonality and support that comes from all of that. It's good credibility stuff. So I love that. And the second thing I thought is the Yada Yada Book Club, where you're guaranteed of material. There's not a lot of people who you can wind up and are going to talk for 2 hours and could go for 4 hours if you didn't say, we're coming up on 2 hours. Let's call this one. So the advantage of them is that with the Yada Yada Book Club, you've always got a wealth of material. You're not going to be wrong about Yahweh, and you can therefore go and be very comfortable. Turn on the cameras, and you're right there, ready to go. Even Wookiee says, "Yeah, that's what I do. I go right to the Yada Yada book." It's just the easiest structure, the most comfortable place to be.
Absolutely.
And it take people that are not really used to turning on a camera and speaking, and put you in a position where you can do so with a high degree of comfort, and then being spurred to talk about what any particular passage might mean to you, or the application of it, or a question you might have. And I just think that's the most comfortable of all of the ways to go.
We're working on it. We are.
Okay, but I didn't know that it was a love match.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that love is in the air.
Absolutely. Isn't it?
We have another Ruth and Boaz moment.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent human interest story. Let's put it that way. So it's all told in the. It's only 55 minutes, and the reveal comes at like 23 minutes in. So if you want to just scrub through and just catch the. Yes, absolutely allowed.
Okay, you can see I have a little love interest right here. I just got kissed by the Wookiee. Hence why I'm backing him. All right. Well, thank you. I enjoyed doing this program. There's a lot of tough news to deliver. We're in the time of Israel's troubles. It's going to get worse, and we need to be a voice that resonates with Israel, that you're being played. You're doing a lot of things wrong, and it's time for you to get your act together and realize that you can't rely on your politicians, your rabbis, or your culture, that you need to turn back to Yahweh. And you can do that by coming to yadayah.com. We're asking nothing from you. We don't sell anything. We don't even have a donate to us button. All the books are free. All the programming is free. And the only thing it even requires an email address is if you want to contribute to the forum that we have there, the chat. For that, you do have to sign up, because we do have to have some influence over that to make sure that it continues to be a positive experience for everybody. But other than that, you can do everything anonymously. In fact, as I look at the numbers for the site, about 95% of the viewership of the site is not registered. So it just proves the point. You're welcome to explore. All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll look forward to being with you. We're going to pursue later today luminaries, because we have so much material. And ultimately, we're going to get to the story of Noach and who those fellows were that served as witnesses to the affirmation of the covenant, and then met with Abraham and Sarah with the alleged cheeseburgers, and then ventured on to Sodom, because, boy, are there ever insights. I mean, that's a story where every sentence is like having a PhD class in Yahwehology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I spent better part of my weekend. I bet better part of my weekend reading what you had sent us. So yeah, I was just trying to catch up. So
yeah, it's really. Was anything in particular that just struck you and said, "Wow, that's pretty amazing"?
Yeah, Na'ar, trying to follow you through Na'ar, okay, because of the commonality of how it's always translated, but Na'ar is only really used like 7 times, and like 4 of them are just in that, and so it's kind of like, all right, now, and we go to the second and third, and it's like, all right, now I'm smelling what you're putting down. I'm I'm getting there with you. So
Na'ar is been knee-jerk, superficially rendered young men. And yet, if you look at the etymology and all of the words associated with it, no, it's exactly the opposite. It's withered old guys, guys that have been known for their roar, who are rustling about. They're they're a bit crotchety too, because they're really old guys.
Got something to say,
but really notorious old guys. And so Na'ar is a term that doesn't mean what it was, how it was rendered. And so that's, and by the way, it's not just used there, it's used in the next series, where the son of the bull is afforded as a gift to the Na'ar. And so it makes it into the next series as well. And so almost all of its uses are surrounding these 2 guys, Noach and Shem, who are serving as witnesses, not only to Yahweh saying Sarah's going to have a kid, and why is she laughing? There's no laughing matter. And then again, when they accompany Abraham and Yishak to Mount Moriah, they're the two witnesses of the confirmation of the covenant, which seems right since Yahweh established the covenant with those two fellas on the Tebah. So yeah, it's one of those things where the thing that I have become very accustomed to doing is never relying on the religious rendering, because it is always gerrymandered to create a religious interpretation and almost always misses the point. Consider the word's full etymology and then see what the other words in context have to say. And particularly on that journey, there are 8 hit you between the eyes clues that tell you who these fellows are. And they are not some unknown guys that were picked up at random to make that trip. And it's only when you know who they are and then why that was chosen. You know, it was 350 years exactly after the flood that Noach lived to that moment. Does anything strike you about 350 years?
The number 350 itself?
The number 350 years. Is there anything that's interesting about 350 years? Well, Rich over there, what are you thinking? 350 years. Does that mean anything to you?
It should.
It should. Damn right it should.
Yeah.
You guys both drawing blanks, huh? I'm going to keep my day job.
7 Yobel? 7 Yobel?
That's it.
50-50?
That is it.
Okay.
7 Yobel. So from the flood to the time of the affirmation of the covenant isn't a random period. 968 BCE, year 2000, it was exactly 7 Yobel.
Okay.
Well, that's profound. That's better than an okay, man. That's a hallelujah.
Well, I'm just trying to because it's 350 years, so it's very. I mean, we know he dies with it, but there is this whole thing about when they're on Moria. You know, someone goes away. You know what I'm saying at that point, because the lamb with the Quran is there, and you know, and everything, and that symbolizes is there. But then there's no. That's the end of the story. We don't segue into anything else. It's just kanyets. It drops off. You know,
because that was the covenant now has been affirmed. It was affirmed with Noach and Shem serving as the witnesses. Exactly 7 Yobel from the time that they established the covenant with Yahweh.
Right.
During the Tebah experience, the ship of insights on the harvest, God says 5 times that he established the covenant with Noach at that time. And so 350 years, you see the affirmation of that covenant. And Yobel is the time where everyone is emancipated. All debts are forgiven, and we return to the land, to home. And it's exactly 7 of those, which is the number of Yahweh. I think that's just delicious.
Yeah.
You know, if you're looking for clues and you want to make connections to understand things, 7 Yobel is about as good as it gets.
Right. Good stuff.
Okay. Well, we'll send you an update on that chapter today or tomorrow, and it will have the answer you've just given, but you just figured it out. 7.
I think you saw it from Leia's post.
Oh, okay. So you cheated. You saw it from Leia's post?
No, I did not cheat. I saw it. If we can go back, and I will pull the tape. Don't worry. I will pull the tape. I can't prove that I didn't see it before, but I can prove that I said it before. So.
Okay. Good for you. No, that is actually exceedingly good to, because I'm going to tell you, the first time I went through it, I wrote it, it says 350 years. And okay, the only thing that strikes me about 350 years is that if you look at the date of the flood to the affirmation of the covenant, which is year 2000 Yah, it's exactly 350 years. And we're told that Noach lived 350 more years. And you're saying, okay, that puts guess who at guess where. So that's how I got there. And I wrote all about what happened there. And then I went back through and said, 350. What am I? Oh my God. 350 is 7 Yobel. Let me count that again. Yeah, it is. And so it's just super clever by Yahweh. He doesn't miss a trick.
Yeah. He does not.
You've got to get really early in the morning if you're going to beat him in the storytelling. He's just really, really good at it. And it's one of the most delicious clues of all of the clues associated with it was Noach and Shem. They were the two witnesses. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to my day job of translating. And thank you for playing along with us here on a really tough show. And we'll return and do this again tomorrow. Good day.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. That was Fetch. Gotta run now. Catch y'all on our next podcast.